Hey guys, welcome to the weekly analysis. So this video, if you guys haven't watched one yet, is going to be a little bit longer, and I cover a lot more detail, and I'll talk about some scenarios for heading forward and different things like that. So I mentioned last night that I was getting close to being ready to go long on some puts, that I had a couple price targets. So my goal to be able to go long on some like 30 to 60 DTE puts was I wanted to see SPY close below 424.7, which we closed at 422.14. I also wanted to see Apple close below 173.3, and we closed at 171.52. I also wanted to see the VIX close over 20.5, and we closed at 20.59. So all three price targets hit. So did I open any puts? I did not this time. And why did I not open any puts? Well, I was looking at just the overall intraday movement. So these are the last 3 trading days on SPY. This is the 15-minute chart. If you look at it, this is basically just consolidation. So this was on Wednesday. So whatever happened pre-market happened. And then we just consolidated. We had one massive move, and then we dumped. And then this is Thursday. So Thursday, we pretty much just held the same range all day. So Thursday, same thing. We just consolidated. We had a little pop, and then we dumped. And then you got today. We had a massive move after hours. And the first 2 candles, so the first 30 minutes of trading was big red. And then from there, we just consolidated. We had a little push up, and then we just kind of dumped, and then the bulls came back and ended today. So the reason I did not go long, and I'll go into more detail when I'm going through the charts about it, was that this did not feel like total capitulation. This didn't feel like bears were fully in control. This felt more like a day the bulls just didn't show up. It didn't feel like, if you go back here in the daily, like it didn't feel like a day like this, or it didn't feel like a day where we had a huge green candle and then we dumped the next day. Like it didn't feel like a big sell-off. It didn't feel like, a big red candle. Even some of these red candles and stuff, it didn't feel the same. I mean, it really was just a range day. I mean, all the movement happened at market pretty much, besides the first 30 minutes where we did pretty much recover a little bit of that pre-market, about 0.3%, I think, from the lows before we opened. So I decided it was not quite time yet to go long on puts. I'll tell you what I'm looking for and why I'm going to wait till Monday. So today we closed at negative 1.34%. This was the biggest red close that we have seen on SPY since June 28th, which we had a negative 2% day. Interesting thing about today, and this does help the bears a little bit, was we had a 68 mil on the volume, so that was 104% of the normal 30-day average volume, which is at 65.5 mil. Some of that could obviously be because there was like $1 trillion worth of options expiring today. So obviously that's going to add volume and movement and volatility and things like that. And that's another reason why I decided I wasn't ready to go long on puts also, is I wanted to make sure this wasn't related to monthly OPEX that was today, and this was actually a true move. So here's a couple things I'm looking at for next week. So we finally, let me zoom back out here. We finally broke the 9-week long bull support that started way back here in June, but really the first hit was on July 14th. So we finally broke this massive rising wedge, which is great. I like that. However, and I want to do something while I'm here actually. Let me look at this real quick. So I'm going to take this support and move it right here. So kind of actually looks a lot like Apple's chart now. This red one. Interesting. Okay. So we broke through this support. I just moved it. So this is the new red one right here. We closed below the daily 8 EMA, which usually is a pretty bearish omen. That usually does mean there's some downside to be had. But I have 2 scenarios. So scenario 1, which is the bull scenario, is we broke support, but Apple has not broken its support. I'll get to Apple later. So this was just a rest. We found some nice support down here, at this 422 level. And now we're going to bounce and we're going to go back up. So for scenario 1, which is the recovery, that this is still a bull market or bear market a bear market rally, is that we're bouncing off the support, which we've done quite a few different times. We did it here, which we moved it through. We did it here. We did it here. I mean, we've bounced off support quite a few different times, and we've looked weak quite a few times. So for scenario 1, you can call this consolidation. I mean, we have 6 candles traded between 422 and 430. So this is really consolidation. We haven't really broke that trend just yet, so that's something to keep in mind. So for scenario 1, if we're going to be bullish, what I'm looking for is Monday, we're going to open over 423.3. We're going to hold that support, and then from there, we're going to break this black resistance at 425.3. And then, it won't happen tomorrow, on Monday, but Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to test this bear market resistance again. Most likely, it would probably happen on Wednesday. So this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which makes it just perfect at 429.7, 429.9, which means that it's going to test the level resistance and the bear market resistance at the same time. Now, if we finally break through resistance, which Apple did break through its bear market resistance twice this week, and if we close up in this 430s range finally, I would actually see a pretty fair case how we could go to 458 by the next CPI, which next CPI is on September 13th. So that would be right here. So you can see how we get there. Now, scenario 2, which this is the one everybody wants, of course, is that this is the top. This is the carrot top. So if this is the carrot top, then most likely what's going to happen, which interesting, we do have technically like a 30-cent gap here, about a 25-cent gap right here. So most likely what's going to happen is we come through on Monday, we're going to come up here, retest resistance, or even retest, 424.8. And then we'll break through this support line again, which breaking through this support line again would then tell me that it's not really a support line anymore, that it is actually broken. So we break through there. 422 is going to be the big level to close under. And then from there, we're going to test 417.5, 417.4. Once we close below 417.4, that's a big deal because we're closing below the daily 200 EMA right here, which is at 418, and then we're going to break into the next level. So then we have to think about this gap right here at 412.75. So we either are going to, 1, fill a gap and bounce and go back up, or 2, we're going to fill a gap, and then we're going to start going to the gap that's way over here at 378 range. So this is September 13th right here, which is CPI. So you can see how even just on a slow trajectory, we could see below 400 by CPI. So that would be just a nice steady downtrend. Wouldn't be anything too extreme. So obviously if it starts getting more extreme, then you're looking at the 390s. But so that's kind of the two scenarios I'm looking at. Basically 400 or 358. Looking at SPY weekly here, so we did see the weekly resistance wasn't necessarily tested. We fell short by about a dollar really of actually testing the weekly resistance. We did test channel resistance at 432 and we did reject that, which is a bearish sign. The other thing is we're putting this nice gravestone doji in here, which you can see the last 2 times it was here and here, and that obviously led to downside. So you're probably asking, well, if I have all these bearish things, why didn't you open puts? So the one thing I looked at, and I looked at this last night, so because I was thinking about whether I would wait till Monday possibly, or wait till today, end of day, to open puts. If you look at these opens after the top candle was put in, so here's December's. So we closed at 474.96, and we actually opened at 476.3. So we opened green. And then we did push up quite a bit actually to test, to make the resistance line we're currently fighting at before we started dropping. So let's look at March. We closed at 452.92. We then opened at 453.13, and we also pushed up a little bit before we dumped. So my assumption, which even the same thing here, in May, this wasn't the top, but this was a little bounce that we were at. Closed at 410.54, opened at 414.78. So you can see that most likely we're going to open green on Monday, or at least trend green on Monday, and then we'll see the sell-off. So I figured I had a little bit of time to be able to think about it. So I also want to watch the markets think about it this weekend and see what crypto does this weekend. I'll get to Bitcoin at the end, as that's something I'm really watching right now. So key things I'm watching is the weekly support right here has not been broken yet. So technically we are going into a 10th week of support. If we were to open over 428.8, which is a $6 open, which is a 1.3% open, ain't no way that's happening, then we could just keep going up. But I don't think that's going to obviously happen. Most likely we'll open somewhere around like the 424s, 423s. So then we'll officially be through support, and then I'll be ready to do it. I want to play out Monday, see if we get a green day. I'm a little nervous that we could see a green day on Monday that puts us somewhere up around this 424.7, or even back up here at 426. I mean, 427.2 was really big resistance, so we could even get up in that range. So I want to make sure that we're not going to have a big green day. The last thing I want to do is open some puts, especially if I go 30 DTE, and then immediately have a red day again, or green but red for me, day against me. So I'm okay waiting. I mean, realistically, this is the first red weekly candle in let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. So this is finally week 5. We put in a red candle. So I feel like I'm okay being a little more patient. So we got futures, same thing. Futures put in or broke through the resistance or support line here. Sorry, support. It also closed below the 8 EMA, which I do like that. That's a good sign usually of a trend that's about to form. So I'm going to move this support line just like I did on SPY. So it just kind of makes a bigger rising wedge still that we could really realistically be trading in. I do feel like looking at futures that this is more of a bearish rounding top putting in. So I do like the way that futures is looking. Same thing though, support for Monday is going to be 42.45. Once we break through that, then I'll be more confident. There's definitely a real scenario where we could bounce back up to 42.78 before we start going down. But really key support is going to be this 200 EMA right here at 41.85. I would like, once that's broken, then I can be pretty confident that some more downside is coming. Looking at Futures Weekly, so same thing with Futures Weekly this time though. It did not ever touch the weekly resistance at 43.40. We fell just short of it, so that's something to keep in mind. Support for Monday, or I guess Sunday night open, would be 42.80, 42.78. So it's possible we could have a huge green open on Sunday night and just hold green, but again, I really doubt it. So I'll be looking for futures to open below support, confirm the weekly has been broken, and then from there, I still think there's a case to be made on Monday that we're going to see a push up. I don't know. I would be surprised a little bit, honestly, going back to SPY here. I would be surprised to see us open red and then just dump straight to 417.4. It's extremely possible, and if we did that, I think it would be safe to open some 30 DTE puts and assume that the gap right here at 412.75, I believe it is, 412.75 is going to be filled pretty early next week. I would probably even open some maybe 14 DTEs, but most likely 30 just to be safe and just take a small win there. But like I said, I would be kind of surprised. I don't think the bears really had the momentum. Now, watching crypto over the weekend, depending on what crypto does, that could change things in my opinion. So going to Apple. So Apple finally broke this 3-week long black support line here. So let's finally get rid of that thing. So what you can see here, we're pretty much still trading within a huge rising wedge. But now the SPY and Apple, if you zoom out here, they're looking more similar to each other. If you look at the two charts, pretty similar. So key things to keep in mind here in Apple and how I'd like to play Apple. Apple is still looking bullish, in my opinion. We had such a big run up that it's expected that we're going to see a retrace eventually. But every time we've hit the 8 EMA, we have bounced pretty green. I mean, consistently hit the 8 EMA up, 8 EMA up, 8 EMA really big up. So we're hitting the 8 EMA. I would not be surprised to see this still push green. That was one of the biggest hesitations I had today, was looking at Apple and realizing how big this support line is down here. It'll be 10 weeks now, starting Monday. And that I'm still nervous that Apple is not quite ready to dump yet. I mean, Apple only put in a negative 1.5% day, which isn't really that impressive when you consider all these like 2% greens days we've had. There's a 4% day there, 4% there, 4% there, 1.5, 3. So there's been so many big like 2 to 4% green days on Apple that really this was kind of like insignificant if you ask me. So before I go long on puts officially, I really want to see this support line right here broken, which for Monday would be breaking through 170.9, which would be about a negative 1% day, negative 1.2-ish% day or something like that. It is very possible that that will happen on Monday, and that would make me overall pretty bearish finally going forward, and I would feel confidence in my bearishness. But there's a very real scenario where we'll double bottom here at 171.5, and then we're going to go back up to 175.5. And if Apple goes back up to 175.5, SPY is going to go back to its 430 level. So I'm hesitant still. So key things I'm going to watch for on Monday is 171.5 support, and then definitely 169.9 is the official trend line right there. If we can break through and get to like 169 actually, then I'm going to be bearish finally. However, if we even bounce off this support at 170.1, or we just hold 171.5, which would be holding the 8 EMA, and start going up, then I'm definitely going to be waiting. I will not enter puts until I see Apple actually trending down for more than 2 days. Because you can see back here in history with Apple that, I mean, we had, 1, 2, 3, 4, this was technically a green day, but 4 down days. We had like 2-ish, 3 or 4-ish days, and then we had 3, 2, 2. So, I mean, it's not unrealistic to expect this to bounce. So we'll go to the weekly real quick here. And that's this candle right here, though, is very bearish for me, because you look back here, and it's even more bearish than here, and you got another doji here. But it's the same thing. I will expect this to open flat, if not push higher. So there's a very real chance that we could see 174 again before the top is in. Now, if we come back here and we double top up here again, or just hard reject 174.5 again, then I'll probably be ready to go long on some puts also. But just the risk to reward is not there right now. And then the other thing we have to keep out if we do start seeing downside on Apple is how long do you want to play puts for? If you do 30 DTE, you can play it to the 165.8 gap fill, or you can get risky and hope it's going to be a big sell-off, and you can play it to the 157.6 gap fill. So 60 DTE gives you way more room to play both of them, because, a normal trajectory, we're going to be about probably here. So probably like August 30th. So what's that next? That next week? So that'd be a week and a half. Or if you go even a little bit, conservatively down here to the gap fill, you're looking at September 9th. So, that's 1, 2, 3 weeks really to get there. So risk to reward. Okay, the VIX. So this is something I've been looking for. I've been waiting finally for the VIX to break this resistance line. However, the one thing to keep in mind about this is now the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th day that the VIX has pretty much traded and closed between 19.5 and 20.7. So, yes, we broke resistance. However, we really haven't made any moves up. I mean, we really are within the same range. I mean, even this massive August 10th, which I believe that was CPI day. Yeah, that was CPI day. We have not broken above that candle at all. We haven't even made a dent in it, really. Today was a good start. But, I mean, you can see we opened big green up here at like 21.27, but we immediately dumped down. So that's what I mean when I was saying that this didn't feel like a big, like, okay, this is it, we're dumping now. This felt more like a rest sort of period. So I was hesitant, and I am still hesitant to get into puts yet. I would really like to see the VIX back at 22, like one green day here, maybe two greens right here, and I would be pretty happy, and I would feel much more confident that the top is in, because, you know, you can see here we had green days and then it kind of dumped. Same here. This looked really promising back in July and then immediately sold off. Even back here, August 2nd, looked really promising, immediately sold off. Even CPI looked promising and then sold off. So you can see we've had these fake kind of pops and then we sell off. So I would like to just be careful and not get burnt. I've been burnt going long too quickly too many times to be so aggressive. So then we got Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a big deal. I've been watching Bitcoin very, very carefully. So I called it earlier when it broke this support line that was through here. So that was when we broke through 23.2. I knew that meant there was some downside. I wish I would have just trusted that, and I wish I would have just bought some like short DTE puts on SPY. I didn't think we'd actually dump like we did. I thought it would kind of like wait till next week maybe. So that was kind of caught me off guard there. But the next leg down appears to be starting on Bitcoin. So you see I have some key levels here. 21.2 was a key support. And then kind of after that, we're looking at like 20K. 19.9, 20K. So we're actually double bottoming right now here on Bitcoin. So this could actually lead to more upside here if we do find some bottom here at 20.8. So that is another reason that I wanted to be careful going long, was that I knew there was a crypto weekend coming up, and crypto weekends really can change market sentiment. People don't believe that crypto really has anything to do with the market, but it does. So many hedge funds are so involved in crypto right now that you got to listen to it, you got to follow it. So they take risk off when they know when we're about to dump, things like that. So you got to pay attention to it. So most important thing to keep watch for this weekend, if Bitcoin has a green weekend and it can get back up into the 22s, 23s, then I favor the scenario that we're going to retest 430s and Apple's going to go back to 175 before we actually lay down. If crypto continues to have a red weekend all weekend, and especially if we break below 20K, then I will be more bearish. I still will expect a small green movement up on Monday, and that will be a time I will look to go long on some probably 30 DTE puts or maybe some 30 DTE Apple puts, depending on how I'm feeling, how risky I'm feeling. Apple is way more risky than SPY is. So that's something I'm watching. So overall, my ideal scenario come Monday, so this isn't the weekend, this would be Monday, and this would be Monday market close. I would like to see SPY close down here at 420. I want to see Apple close below 170, so preferably at 169.5 at the minimum. I want to see the VIX at 22, and I want to see Bitcoin closer to 20K. All those four of those things happen, and then I will feel pretty confident going long on puts. So, all right, guys, that's the market recap today. I'll be back on Monday. We'll have another trading week. Thank you for returning to this video. If you have any questions or anything like that, just go ahead and drop me a comment. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning into this video. If you like the video, go ahead and like and follow me just to support the page. I provided my Discord link here. This is the lifetime link, so sometimes there's issues with this. If you have any issues, just go ahead and send me a message and I'll get you a temporary link that'll work. Some benefits of the Discord is I do a pre-market update with some key support and resistance levels to watch. Throughout the day, I'm on there doing live commentary on SPY and the general market with updates about key levels that are broken. I also do live trade alerts. Currently, it's $20 per month or $228 for the year. If you want to follow me, I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit under Daddy Dersh. Thank you.